Does the Loving Elvis 2023 documentary expose Elvis Presley's dark side? Finally, on November 13, the Loving Elvis three-part documentary, originally broadcast in May in the UK as Elvis Women, is now available in the US on the Peacock streaming channel. In Loving Elvis, we get a whole lot of women sharing their own perspectives. In this video, you'll hear Trina Young, the Elvis News Examiner's review of the film. The film is divided into three parts which cover three time periods in his life, 1956 to 1958, 1958 to 1967, and 1968 to 1977. Two writers who get a lot of airtime in the film are Suzanne Finstad, author of Child Bride, The Untold Story of Priscilla Presley, and Alana Nash, author of multiple books on Elvis including Baby Let's Play House, an exhaustive account of Presley's love life. Finstad is also a producer of the documentary series. When the film first came out, many Elvis fans were upset, complaining that the film makes Elvis look bad. However, most of this information has already been written about in various books, and should not come as a surprise to anyone who knows Presley's history. The difference is that with a film, we now can put faces to names. For example, Sandy Farrah Martindale never wrote a book about Elvis, but she frequently would tell her stories about dating him on the Elvis radio channel on Sirius XM when she was interviewed by George Klein. Sandy dated Elvis in the early to mid-1960s in Hollywood after Elvis returned from the Army. Quote, "When we first started dating," said Sandy, "I knew about Priscilla that he had met this little girl in Germany. She was kept in Tennessee. She didn't know what was going on in LA, so she thought he was only going with her at that time." Also, Barbara Hearn, Presley's steady Memphis girlfriend in 1956, was interviewed. She has never written a book either. It was good to have her documented on film for her part in Presley's life. However, overall, the interviews only cover a little about each woman's relationship with Elvis, leaving fans to go seek out more info on the women they're curious about. On the other hand, I was disappointed that two of Presley's most significant girlfriends in the 1950s were not included and not even talked about. Dixie Locke, who dated Elvis from 1954 to 1955, and June Wanico, who dated Elvis from mid to late 1956. They have both written books about their relationships with Elvis. And while it is understandable that Priscilla would not do an interview for this film, the filmmakers did include audio clips from her offering her side of the story. Regarding Anita Wood, her daughter Johnita Barrett, who wrote a book about her mother's relationship with Elvis, was interviewed for the film. Johnita said Anita did not want to be in the documentary, quote, "because she's 84 and talking about Elvis really makes her sad." Sadly, Anita passed away in June 2023 at the age of 85. But Johnita was a very good spokesperson for her mother as she gave Anita's perspective on the 5 years she dated Elvis. It is worth noting that there is some misleading source material presented on screen when Anita Wood is being discussed. For example, there is audio of an argument that she had with Elvis, but that conversation where she asked Elvis if he was dating other women was made after Elvis left the Army and was in Hollywood, not when he was in the Army in Germany like it is suggested. At another point, a photo of Elvis with Dottie Harmony was shown implying that it was Anita. The film provides an in-depth look into the love triangle between Elvis, Anita and Priscilla and how Elvis juggled those two relationships. As an author of a book that examined Presley's time in the Army, it has always been frustrating to me when Elvis biopics, including the 2022 Elvis movie, leave out Anita Wood. Many books and movies skip over Anita and go straight to Priscilla, leaving out the part when Elvis returned home from Germany and dated Anita for 2 more years until he reunited with Priscilla. This is finally explained on film for Elvis fans to comprehend. What really was frustrating is how multiple people interviewed about this kept saying that Elvis brought Priscilla to Graceland when she was 16. No, Priscilla did not move to Memphis until she was just 2 months away from turning 18 years old. When biographer Alana Nash compares Elvis and Priscilla's relationship to what happened to Jerry Lee Lewis, I thought that was a stretch, and the comparison with R. Kelly was even worse, adding a negative and dark tone to the film. I felt that the filmmakers focused on some of the negative parts of Presley's relationships and dramatized them unnecessarily. In fact, in Part 3, David Stanley claimed that he believed Elvis took his own life. After fans got upset about that, Stanley retracted his statement and apologized for it in June 2023.
Quote, "I am sorry for the derogatory comments I made in a documentary about Elvis that was filmed last year," Stanley posted on his Instagram account in June 2023. "There is no excuse for my comments, and I can fully understand why you would be angered." Note, the post seems to have been deleted since then.
I was intrigued by part 2 when they interviewed Cary Grant, who introduced Priscilla to Elvis in Germany. Of course, this makes sense since author Suzanne Finstad was one of the producers. She interviewed Grant extensively for her book. This led to a he-said/she said dispute between Cary and Priscilla, which ended up in court. In 1998, Priscilla took Cary to court, suing him for defamation. The court ruled in her favor. In the documentary, Grant maintains that Priscilla approached him wanting to meet Elvis in Germany, while Priscilla wrote in her book that Grant was the one who initially approached her with the idea. For those who make comments in the film that Elvis did not want to marry Priscilla, implying he did not love her, I don't believe that. Yes, I agree he did not want to get married, but judging how he felt about Priscilla after first meeting her, I believe he truly loved her. In research for my book, Elvis: The Army Years Uncovered, I was astonished to discover the fact that Elvis was the one who spilled the beans initially about Priscilla to the press, although I am not convinced that Priscilla ever knew this. All the details are explained in this video. Part 3 was my least favorite part of the documentary because it contained some upsetting facts that I do not want to discuss here. If you want to know the details, read my blog post at elvis-news.com. It was great to see Elizabeth Mansfield be interviewed about her time with Elvis. She lived with Elvis and his family in Germany, and she was brutally honest. Quote, "I don't think Elvis Presley should have ever gotten married," said Elizabeth. "One woman just wasn't enough for him, whether he loved her or not. You're not gonna change him. He's gonna do what he wants. He was Elvis Presley." With all the women Elvis dated during his 42 years on Earth, this 3-hour film series could easily have been expanded to 10 parts or 10 hours. In truth, some parts are uncomfortable and upsetting for fans, and it is disappointing that some key women are missing from the story. Considering the limited amount of time on film compared with the unlimited amount of women Elvis dated, Loving Elvis gives a fairly balanced overview of Presley's relationships with women. I would recommend this film to fans mainly for the recorded accounts of the various women who have never or rarely been interviewed before in a film. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like this video to help this channel grow. For more fascinating facts about Elvis, pick up one of Trina Young's For Elvis books. Read a free excerpt at elvisbiography.net. Please subscribe to this channel and ring the bell for notifications of future videos. And keep watching more Elvis videos here.